Imina 35 na legislature Guahan is back from recess. Good afternoon, colleagues. We are now in item number 18, consideration of the daily file. Majority Leader, Vice Speaker Nelson, if I can get a motion to excuse the members not present. Por favor, consigue mona.
Si dos más, Madam Speaker, I'd like to make a motion to excuse members that are not present for today.
On that motion, without any objection heard, motion carries. Bill number 159-35 COR. Por favor, clerks, please read the title.
Bill number 159-35 COR, as amended on the floor, introduced by Therese M. Terlahi, Mary Camacho Torres, Regine Bisco Lee, Talina Cruz Nelson, Tello T. Tidegui, Louise B. Munya, Tina Rose Munya Barnes, James C. Moylan, Joe S. San Augustine, William M. Castro, Kelly Marsh Titano, Sabina Flores Perez, Clinton E. Rigel, Amanda L. Shelton, Jose Pito Terlahi. An act to amend section 1101.5M and add a new subsection E to section 1102.8 of Chapter 1, Article 1, Title 26, Guam Administrative Rules and Regulations, relative to increasing emergency and temporary shelter capacity for children placed under the protective custody of Child Protective Services.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Senator Castro. Senator Castro, aye. Senator Lee. Senator Lee, aye. Senator Marsh Titano. Senator Marsh Titano, aye. Senator Moylan. Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Munya. Senator Munya, aye. Speaker Munya Barnes.
Hungad.
Speaker Munya Barnes, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson. Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez. Senator Perez, aye. Senator Rigel. Senator Rigel, excused. Senator San Augustine. Senator San Augustine, aye. Senator Shelton. Senator Shelton, aye. Senator Tidegui. Senator Tidegui, aye. Senator Pito Terlahi. Senator Pito Terlahi, excused. Senator Therese Terlahi. Senator Therese Terlahi, aye. Senator Torres. Senator Torres, aye.
Colleagues, Bill number 159-35 COR received 13 ayes, 0 nays, and 2 excused absence. Bill number 159-35 COR is duly passed by this body. Bill number 126-35 LS Clerks, please read the title.
Bill number 126-35 LS, as amended by the Committee on Environment, Revenue and Taxation, and Procurement, and further amended on the floor. Introduced by Mary Camacho Torres, Therese M. Terlahi, Regine Bisco Lee, Amanda L. Shelton, Kelly Marsh Titano, William M. Castro, James C. Moylan, Joe S. San Augustine, Tina Rose Munya Barnes, and act to add a new section 57107 to Chapter 57 of Title 10 Guam Code Annotated, relative to requiring the Department of Revenue and Taxation to establish an exceptions process for homeless individuals and unaccompanied homeless youth obtaining a Guam identification card, and to further citing this act as the Homeless Youth and Families Identification Act.
Clerk, roll call, please.
Senator Castro. Senator Castro, aye. Senator Lee. Senator Lee, aye. Senator Marsh Titano. Senator Marsh Titano, aye. Senator Moylan. Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Munya. Senator Munya, aye. Speaker Munya Barnes.
Hongan.
Speaker Munya Barnes, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson. Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez. Senator Perez, aye. Senator Ragel. Senator Ragel, excused. Senator San Augustine. Senator San Augustine, aye. Senator Shelton. Senator Shelton, aye. Senator Titagui. Senator Titagui, aye. Senator Pito Terlahi. Senator Pito Terlahi, excused. Senator Therese Terlahi. Senator Therese Terlahi, aye. Senator Torres. Senator Torres, aye.
Bill number 126-35 LS received 13 ayes, 0 nays, and 2 excused absence. Bill number 126-35 LS is duly passed by this body. Bill number 73-35 COR. Clerks, put for vote, Taitai Titilu.
Bill number 73-35 COR, introduced by Amanda L. Shelton, an act to amend Section 8105 of Chapter 8, Title 10, Guam Code Annotated, relative to revising the makeup of the Guam Council on Senior Citizens to reduce the number of members in order to better facilitate a quorum and the effectiveness of the council.
Clerk, roll call, please.
Senator Castro. Senator Castro, aye. Senator Lee. Senator Lee, aye. Senator Marsh Titano. Senator Marsh Titano, aye. Senator Moylan. Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Munya. Senator Munya, aye. Speaker Munya Barnes.
Hongan.
Speaker Munya Barnes, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson. Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez. Senator Perez, aye. Senator Ragel. Senator Ragel, excused. Senator San Augustine. Senator San Augustine, aye. Senator Shelton. Senator Shelton, aye. Senator Titagui. Senator Titagui, aye. Senator Pito Terlahi. Senator Pito Terlahi, excused. Senator Therese Terlahi. Senator Therese Terlahi, aye. Senator Torres. Senator Torres, aye.
Bill number 73-35 COR received 13 ayes, 0 nays, and 2 excused absence. Bill number 73-35 COR is duly passed by this body. Bill number 135-35 COR, clerks put for vote, Taitai Titilu.
Bill number 135-35 COR, as amended on the floor, introduced by Mary Camacho Torres, an act to add a new Article 9 to Chapter 1, Division 1 of Title 26, Guam Administrative Rules and Regulations, relative to permitting more than 6 children per foster home in the standards for family foster homes on Guam, and to add such updated standards to the Guam Administrative Rules and Regulations to reflect this allowance.
Clerk, roll call, please.
Senator Castro. Senator Castro, pass. Senator Lee. Senator Lee, aye. Senator Marsh-Titano. Senator Marsh-Titano, aye. Senator Moylan. Senator Moylan, pass. Senator Muñoz. Senator Muñoz, pass. Speaker Muñoz Barnes.
Again.
Speaker Muñoz Barnes, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson. Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez. Senator Perez, aye. Senator Rangel. Senator Rangel, excused. Senator San Augustine. Senator San Augustine, passed. Senator Shelton. Senator Shelton, aye. Senator Titagui. Senator Titagui, nay. Senator Pito Terlahi. Senator Pito Terlahi, excused. Senator Therese Terlahi. Senator Therese Terlahi, aye. Senator Torres. Senator Torres, aye. Senator Castro. Senator Castro, pass. Senator Moylan. Senator Moylan, pass. Senator Muñoz. Senator Muñoz, pass. Senator San Augustine. Senator San Augustine, aye. Senator Castro. Senator Castro, nay. Senator Moylan. Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Muñoz. Senator Muñoz, pass, nay.
Bill number 135-35 COR received 10 ayes, 3 nays, and 2 excused absences. Bill number 135-35 COR is duly passed by this body. Bill number 140-35 COR. Clerks, please read the title.
Bill number 140-35 COR, as amended in the Committee of the Whole, introduced by Joe S. San Augustine, Clinton E. Rangel, Tina Rose Muñoz Barnes, an act to amend Section 1216 of Article 2, Chapter 1, Title 12, Guam Code Annotated, relative to authorizing the issuance of revenue bonds of the A.B. Wonpat International Airport Authority, Guam, to refund all or a portion of its outstanding general revenue bonds 2013 Series C.
Clerk, roll call, please.
Senator Castro. Senator Castro, aye. Senator Lee. Senator Lee, aye. Senator Marsh-Titano. Senator Marsh-Titano, aye. Senator Moylan. Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Munya. Senator Munya, aye. Speaker Munya Barnes.
Come again.
Speaker Munya Barnes, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson. Vice Speaker Nelson, pass. Senator Perez. Senator Perez, aye. Senator Rangel. Senator Rangel, excused. Senator San Augustine. Senator San Augustine, aye. Senator Shelton. Senator Shelton, aye. Senator Titagui. Senator Titagui, aye. Senator Pito Terlahi. Senator Pito Terlahi, excused. Senator Therese Terlahi. Senator Therese Terlahi, pass. Senator Torres. Senator Torres, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson. Vice Speaker Nelson, pass. Senator Therese Terlahi. Senator Therese Terlahi, pass. Vice Speaker Nelson. Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Therese Terlahi. Senator Therese Terlahi, nay.
Bill number 140-35 COR received 12 ayes, 1 nay, and 2 excused absence. Bill number 140-35 COR is duly passed by this body. On the nomination of Rena K. Board to serve as a member of the Guam Contractors License Board, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Rena K. Boer received majority support and is duly confirmed by this body. On the nomination of Evangeline M. Cepeda to serve as a member, the General Public Representative, Guam Academy Charter School Council, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Evangeline M. Cepeda received majority support and is duly confirmed by this body. On the nomination of Leilani R. Flores to serve as a member of the Guam Land Use Commission, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Leilani R. Flores received majority support and is duly confirmed by this body. On the nomination of Marissa Q. Mears to serve as a member of the Guam Public Library System Board of Directors, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Marissa Q. Mears received majority support and is duly confirmed by this body. On the nomination of Jesse J. Kinga to serve as a member of the General Public Representative for the Guam Academy Charter Schools Council, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Jesse J. Kinga received majority support and is duly confirmed by this body. On the nomination of Aleo C. Sablan to serve as a member, Guam Regional Transit Authority Board of Directors, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Aleo C. Sablan received majority support and is duly confirmed by this body. Colleagues, on the nomination of Jennifer B. Sanchez to serve as a member, Guam Academy Charter Schools Council, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Jennifer B. Sanchez received majority support and is duly confirmed by this body. On the nomination of John Edward G. Elau to serve as a member of the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board, all those in favor, please raise your hand. John Edward G. Elau received majority support and is duly confirmed by this body. On the nomination of Dean A. Minglonia to serve as a member, attorney, for the Guam Banking and Insurance Board, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Dean A. Minglonia received majority support and is duly confirmed by this body. On the nomination of on the nomination of Leah Beth Nahalawa to serve as a member, the Government of Guam's Employee Classified Guam Banking and Insurance Board, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Leah Beth O. Nahalawa received majority support and is duly confirmed by this body. On the nomination of Raymond A. Schnabel to serve as a member of the Guam Banking and Insurance Board, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Raymond A. Schnabel received majority support and is duly confirmed by this body. On the nomination of Joseph M. Borja to serve as Director of the Department of Land Management, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Senator Castro. Senator Castro, aye. Senator Lee. Senator Lee, aye. Senator Marsh-Titano. Senator Marsh-Titano, aye. Senator Moylan. Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Munya. Senator Munya, aye. Speaker Munya Barnes.
Hongan.
Speaker Munya Barnes, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson. Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez. Senator Perez, aye. Senator Ragel. Senator Ragel, excused. Senator San Augustine. Senator San Augustine, aye. Senator Shelton. Senator Shelton, aye. Senator Taitagui. Senator Taitagui, aye. Senator Pito Terlahi. Senator Pito Terlahi, excused. Senator Therese Terlahi. Senator Therese Terlahi, aye. Senator Torres. Senator Torres, aye.
Can you make sure that all of these names are called, because there might be one missing? Just make sure that everything that was... Colleagues, Joseph M. Bora received 13 ayes, 0 nays, 2 excused absence. Joseph M. Bora is duly confirmed by this body. On the nomination of Ramon L. Blanco to serve as a member of the Real Estate Broker, Guam Real Estate Commission, Guam Real Estate Commission. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Ramon L. Blanco received majority support and is duly confirmed by this body. On the nomination of Matthew C. Cruz to serve as a member for the general public, the Guam Contractors License Board, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Matthew C. Cruz received majority support and is duly confirmed by this body. On the nomination of Selena Ashland to serve as a member, the Construction Industry, Guam Contractors License Board, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Selena Ashland received majority support and is duly confirmed by this body. On the nomination of Emilia Flores Rice to serve as a member of the Civil Service Commission, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Emilia Flores Rice received majority support and is duly confirmed by this body. On the nomination of Francisco G. Santos to serve as a member of the Port Authority of Guam Board of Directors, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Francisco G. Santos received majority support and is duly confirmed by this body. On the nomination of Nathan T. Timinglo to serve as a member of the Port Authority of Guam Board of Directors, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Nathan T. Timinglo received majority support and is duly confirmed by this body. On the nomination of Judith S. Flores to serve as a member of the Guam Council on the Arts and Humanities Agency, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Judith S. Flores received majority support and is duly confirmed by this body. On the nomination, colleagues, of Donna W. Kloppingberg to serve as a member, Guam Council on the Arts and Humanities Agency, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Donna W. Kloppingberg received majority support and is duly confirmed by this body. On the nomination of Athena C.G. Mano to serve as a member, Guam Educational Telecommunications Corporation, KGTF PBS Board of Trustees, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Athena C.G. Mano received majority support and is duly confirmed by this body. Si Diyos Masi, colleagues, Majority Leader Vice Speaker Nelson. Yes. Si Diyos Masi, Senator Dispensa, Vice Speaker. Vice Speaker, if I may, just so that I can have a motion to move us back to second reading, please.
Si Diyos Masi, Madam Speaker. Si Diyos Masi, Madam Speaker, I'd like to make a motion to go back into second reading,
Notwithstanding.
notwithstanding the rules.
Si Diyos Masi on that motion, without any objection, motion carries. Senator Joe San Augustine, you are recognized.
Madam Speaker, I move to resolve into the Committee of the Whole for the purpose of deliberating and addressing matters on Bill number 186-35 COR as amended by the Committee on General Government Operation, Appropriation and Housing, an act making appropriation for the operation of the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of the Government of Guam for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2020, making other appropriation and establishing miscellaneous administrative provisions, and that I'll be the chair of the Committee of the Whole, and invite the following members. I have the representative from the Department of Administration, Bureau of Budget, Management Research, and members of the Office of Finance and Budget.
Si Diyos Masi, Senator San Augustine on the motion. Do I hear any objections? Hearing none. Motion carries. The body stands in recess for a moment as we set up.
Mic test, 1, 2, 1, 2, mic test.
The Committee of the Whole is called to order. I'd like to first recognize Vice Speaker Nelson. Ma'am?
Si just Masi, Mr. Chair, just to get in front of everything, so there's nothing misconstrued in the media, I'd like to make a motion to remove on page 124, line 17, all the way through page 126, line 15. That is the section 20, section 21, section 22, and section 23. Section 20 to 23. So section 20, section 21, section 22, and section 23. It starts at page 124.
Motion to delete.
Any objection to the motion? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
My colleagues, I'd like to introduce the panel. To my immediate right is the Director of Department Administration, Mr. Edward Byrne. And to his right is Mr. Jason Bosler from the Bureau of Budget Management Research. To my immediate left is the OFB Director, Mr. Stephen Guerrero, and his staff was Llewellyn Terlahi, Vanessa Valencia, Joe Cabana, and Winston, I forget his last name all the time. But ladies and gentlemen, my colleagues, they've all been sworn in. We will begin with a presentation by the Office of Finance and Budget, Mr. Stephen Guerrero. Sir.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon, Senators, Chairperson of the Committee on General Government Operations, Appropriation, Housing, and panel colleagues. My name is Stephen Guerrero. I'm the Director of Office of Finance and Budget, and I am here today to present Bill 186-35 COR as amended by the Committee on General Operations, Appropriation, and Housing, also referred to as the FY 2020 Budget Bill. I'd like to start off by presenting the FY 2020 projected revenues and how it was formulated and derived. The method used to determine the general fund revenues involved using historical data, current trends, tracking of monthly revenues, and economic indicators. Projecting revenues levels for each category may include some or all of the methods. Adjustments were made to certain categories to account for anomalies or non-recurring items not normally included in projecting annual government revenues. The income tax categories are most challenging projection as all categories were affected by recent changes in both local and federal tax laws that were implemented in the middle of FY 2018 and 19. 2019 is an unusual year for revenue collections for the government of Guam. The implementation of several local law changes and the experience of a full-year fiscal impact of the Trump Tax Act, Trump Tax Cuts, Job Acts of 2017 made it challenging to project FY 2020 revenues. Income tax categories such as individual tax, income tax, corporate income, withholding tax, as of May 2019, tracking reflects a decline of about 110 million, or 27% of revenue collections over FY 2018. However, revenues collection in both business privilege tax reflects an increase of 60.1 million, or 22% of Section 30 funds, of 9.4 million, or 13.7% higher over FY 2018 figures for the same period. Concurrently, special funds tracking major special fund categories are expected to collect at or above projected levels totaling 20 million over FY 2018 amounts. These increases should help mitigate the loss of revenues experienced in the general fund. Revenue projections for 2020 are conservative based in part on historical revenue trends and various economic conditions. Slight growth in individual income and corporate income of 4.1 and 1.3 million is projected respectively. Likewise, business privilege tax is projected to generate 3.4 million, which again is a modest increase over FY 2019 levels. Withholding tax is set to generate the largest revenue increase of about 22.5 million, or 10% over 2019. The increase is a positive indication that more people are entering the workplace. The increase in the business privilege tax from 4% to 5%, the change in tobacco taxes, which are both authorized in Public Law 34-116, and the recent passage of Public Law 35-1-1 or Public Law 1-35 regarding the million plus one tax on real property development has helped offset some of the reduction in revenues as a result of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. As the government experiences revenues reduction in some categories, it also realizes increase in other revenue categories. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 went into effect February of tax year 2018. It reduced tax rates on both business and individual income. Cuts to individual income tax mean more disposable income for households after income taxes are deducted. It is worth noting, though, that deduction in the tax rate for each income bracket is set to expire after fiscal year 2025. The effects on the TCJA on the local government coffers have been challenging. The estimated tax loss for FY 2020 compared to FY 2018 is 110 million. Among the three major tax categories affected by the TCJA, the major loss is expected to be in the corporate income tax category. Current revenue trends reflect a reduction in both individual and corporate tax categories. Withholding tax shows an increase in revenue collection and may help offset the reduction in both individual income and corporate tax. With the implementation of the 1% increase in the business privilege tax, which went into effect in May of 2018, which generated 32.4 million of additional revenues, the increase in the PBT was specifically designed to help offset the projected loss in revenues, and as a result of the TCJA, the estimated revenues to be derived in F1 2020 is 58.6 million. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and maybe direct your attention to the screen. I will do a presentation on the PowerPoint that shows basically some of the figures going back to FY 2018, comparing to 2019 and 2020. Next slide, please. I can't read the screen, but I believe you all have a copy in front of you. If you don't, I can get one to you. You all have one? Okay. I want to start it with 2018, because basically what we do is we look at where we came from and figure out where we're going to go going forward. And if you look at 2018, if you look at the total general fund, there's an amount there of $849 million, which was a very robust year in collecting revenues for the government of Guam. Individual income tax, corporate income tax, and withholding tax were significantly higher than previous years. If you also look at the BBT, you see an amount of 254, which basically was kind of a status quo number for the last 3 years, going back, I believe, to fiscal year 14, 15, and 16, to include 17. So the bottom line for fiscal year 2018, we collected, again, a total of $849 million.
Mr. Chair, excuse me, can you just clarify, Steve, for FY19, are these what we projected in the last, or what they're tracking?
Okay, yeah, I was going to get to 19.
Oh,
No, so
sorry.
19 is the authorized level.
Okay,
Authorized
Revenue.
appropriation level, okay? I'm glad that you brought that up, so now we can compare apples and apples, okay? Okay, for FY 2019 is basically the authorized appropriation level, as set forth in 34-116. So if you look at the comparison, and this is what we're kind of tracking, okay? These are projections that were used that have been using actual revenue collections from October of 2018 all the way up to May of 2019. Okay? So what we did is we used those actual collection figures and projected it out for the remaining 5 months of 2019. So from May, starting June, July, August, September, those 4 months basically were just projected out using historical data. So in other words, you go back to fiscal year 18, go back to fiscal year 17, and see the tracking for each month of those years, and use the percentage of those months on an average over the last 3 years, and applied it to those to figures to those months in FY 2019, starting June. So that's how we got the estimated for June, July, August, and September. So if you add the total actual revenues collected from October of 2018 to May of 2019, plus the 4 months of projected revenues going forward to the end of the fiscal year, that's how we come up with the estimated of $775 million.
So these are different than the authorized in the budget bill?
This is the authorized level, yes.
Oh.
This is to substantiate the authorized
Oh,
level in
okay.
the budget bill.
All right.
Madam Speaker?
Mr. Chair, thank you very much. If I may, I just want to ask, because the OFB Executive Director is doing a overview summary. I want to ask, are we allowed to ask the questions now as we go along? Or did you want to do the presentation? Because I too had a couple of questions, and I just want to make sure what the rules of engagement are.
We have no reservations in not asking questions in reference to his presentation, because when we start the full deliberation of the bill, then I'll identify the rules of engagement. But right at this point, if you have any questions, please feel free to just signal, and then he'll pause and he'll accept the questions.
So then just a
Yes, ma'am.
clarification, Mr. Chair, if I may, to Mr. Guerrero. Based on the projections that you projected out between June and September, the inquiry is, didn't we receive the actual tracking or the actual all the way up to July of 2019? Don't we have those numbers?
The information that we use, the actual versus the projected, is used to estimate 2020 revenues. What you're seeing under 2019 is the authorized level that's in the law. Those are the revenue estimates that were estimated last year that were placed in the law as the appropriation level for 2019. What I was mentioning earlier is the data that we use to calculate the projected revenues for 2020.
Senator Castro, you have a question? In reference to the
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, I was of the understanding that we're going to hold the questions to the end so we can understand the full context of your presentation. But just let me finish. Because if you wanted to allow for questions, I have questions about every item on the first slide in reference to historical material that I also brought. So I'm just concerned that Mr. Guerrero might not have the opportunity to finish the presentation. Now, you're the chairman. I'm just saying if you're going to allow for questions, then just let's be clear that we all get around to questions as we begin. I just want to make sure.
All right, and thank you, Senator Castro. So I asked my colleagues if you can hold back your question, let the presentation be presented, then you can ask all the questions you want to know. Thank you.
Okay, so going back to 2019, again, just to emphasize that $775 million that you're seeing under the general fund is the revenue appropriation level that is in Public Law 34116. Okay? If you go to FY 2020, that column represents the total amount of revenues that is expected to be generated and projected for FY 2020, which is what's in Bill 186 now. So what I'd like to do at this point is do you want me to finish the whole presentation, or?
Finish the whole presentation.
Okay. Okay, so that basically is just a comparison between the 3 years and gives you kind of a guidance of where we were in 2018 and where we should be, or at least expect to be, in 2020. Okay, next slide, please. This slide basically just shows how the revenue summary in comparison to the total government of Guam funds coming in for 2020. As you know, that the general fund takes up the bulk of it at 72% at 803.6 million. Special funds comes in at 246, or 22% of the total revenues. Then we got the federal grants requiring local match at 63.4. So that's basically how the entire 1.1 million basically will be appropriated for the whole fiscal year of 2020. Next slide, please. The next slide kind of shows how the general fund revenues will be doled out. If you notice, the majority of the revenues on the general fund comes from income taxes at 401.9%, or 50% of the total revenues. Next category is the business privilege tax at 314.9, or 39% of the whole entire pie. Federal sources at 72.9, at 9%. And then, of course, other taxes at 4.9, or 1% of the total revenues. Next slide, please. This slide kind of just gives you an idea of how the general fund comparison in terms of total income taxes collected, total revenue sources collected from fiscal year 2018 all the way to 2020. If you notice, in 2018, income taxes total almost 512 million. Business privilege tax at 254.8, and federal taxes at 70, with other taxes coming in at 4.3, and other categories at 7.9. If you look over 2019, income taxes actually declined from 512 million down to 373 million. But if you look at business privilege tax for 2019, it actually increased by about 50 or 60 million. Federal sources kind of grew just to about 10 million over 2018 to 80 million. And of course, other categories kind of like remain status quo. Comparing 2020 to 2019, you'll notice that income taxes is estimated to come in at 401 versus the 373 in 2019. Business privilege will grow just slightly for about 3 million, from 311 million to about 314 million. Federal sources kind of declined. We saw a reduction only because the reserve that the federal government is holding on the Section 30 funds. I believe initially the conversation was to reserve those funds for the war reparation. I don't know whether or not those funds are still designated for the war reparations, but that was the intended reserve amount of Section 30 monies at the time we did this. Okay. Next slide, please. This slide shows a comparison of income tax over fiscal year 2018, 19, and 20. If you notice, withholding for fiscal year 2018 actually was about, let me see this, $281 million in 2018. In 2019, it kind of like decreased to $223 million. And then in 2020, or 2020, we're anticipated to grow back up to about another 20 million, 23 million to 246 million. In the corporate income, in 2018, we're about 152 million. In 2019, it dropped down to 83.7 million. And what we're projecting in 2020 is a slight increase to about 85 million. Individual income tax shows total collection FY 2018 at 78.3 million. In 2019, it dropped down to 66.4. And then for 2020, we anticipate a slight increase for about 4.2 million at 70.6 million. Next slide, please. This slide shows the comparison between income tax and business privilege tax for the same years, for years 2018, 19, and 2020. If you notice, we'll start with the income tax. We were up there about $500 million at 512 million. Then in 2019, because of the Trump Tax Act, it dropped down to 373 million. And then for 2020, we're looking at an increase of about maybe $23 million in 2020. The opposite is true on the business privilege tax, where you notice that it started out in 2018 at 259 million and rose to 314, which is about a $50 million increase over 1 year. And then over 2020, we see a slight increase of about 4 million between 2019 and 2020. Next slide. This slide shows the total general fund allocation by programs. You notice the bulk of the funds would be allocated to public education at 252 million, or 39%. I believe general government comes in next at 95.6%, or 15% of the pie. Then protection of life and property would be ranking third at 86.8%, or 13% of the total. And then public health, the debt service will probably come in next at 84.1, or 13%. Then public health, the reserves would come in at 66.2, which represent 10%. Then, of course, public health comes in at 50.5%, or 8%. Then the rest is divided up between economic development at 4 million, or 1%, and individual and collective rights at 5.1, again at 1%. Next slide. This slide shows basically the major categories or major special funds that needs attention. Over the last several years, most of these major special funds have been kind of like just gradually growing, if not being status quo. Over the last year or two, especially in 2019, we saw an increase simply because of certain changes in the law. If you look at the Tourist Attraction Fund, I believe 2 years ago it was hovering maybe about 40, 38, 39 million. But over the last several years, it actually grew about $6 to $7 million. So right now, information that I receive both through the CRER and folks from GVB and everywhere else says they see a positive growth in tourism, and they expect to generate anywhere from 44, we're crossing our fingers, to about 46 million this year. We got probably 3 more good months, hopefully, hopefully that will materialize and generate those additional funds. But if not, if we can come in at least at 42, 44, that would be basically the projected amount that we set aside for the TAF. Healthy Future Fund, that's another fund that's worth looking at. There is an increase in the Healthy Future Fund simply because the increase in tobacco tax that just recently went into effect. We are hoping that generates anywhere from $3 to $5 million of additional revenues. So we normally look at the what we're proposing is showing that increase over FY 2019 levels. The TEFF, that again is a fund that for several years have been kind of like status quo, hasn't really gone anywhere. But with the recent approval of the the million plus one law, that was estimated to generate, I believe, $9 million in its origin when it first came out, but it has since been adjusted down to about 8.1 from information received from Revenue and Tax. So what I've been told today is that they've collected about $5 million of that 8.1, with about 3.9 million still outstanding. And the reason why I believe there's a decrease in the anticipated amount is simply there's a conversation about having to pay real property taxes retro back to 2018. So that 3.9 million is money that was anticipated to be generated, but because of this discussion about not wanting to, or not the law not being applicable to retro back to 2018, there's some reservations of taxpayers paying for that tax period. Guam Highway Fund, that fund's kind of like a status quo fund. I think we only grew it for about $268,000 from FY 2019, so we hope that at least will come in at the same level it was for 2019. Pharmaceutical funds, as you all know, this is not a generating special fund. It's basically funds appropriated out of the general fund. Total gross receipts, business privilege tax, you take 6.19% of that, and that is the amount that we set aside for the pharmaceutical funds. Solid Waste Fund, again, that's a fund that's been kind of steady over the last several years, ever since the last increase they had in their fees. This fund also has recently been identified as payment for the recent ransom bond that was taken out. So this would be actually the fund source to pay for that bond. Custom and Quarantine, now that's a fund that I believe over the last couple of years haven't been seeing, they actually could see better days. In 2020 budget, I believe would be the first time that the general fund would have to come in and subsidize the Custom and Quarantine, simply because the amount of revenues currently being generated in the fund is insufficient to cover their operation. So the general fund this year, I think, is coming up with 1.7? 1.2. What's the subsidy? 1.2? It will have to subsidize the Custom and Quarantine operation in the amount of 1.2 out of the general fund. So, that's something I believe there's a conversation also to look into the fund, see what we can do to enhance collection within the fund. There's also discussion about raising fees, passenger fees, et cetera, et cetera. That, again, is just all discussion. I don't know where that is. But if those fees are not implemented, at least to the point of the tune of 1.2, the general fund will have to subsidize Custom and Quarantine going forward. The School Lunch National Breakfast Program, Nutrition and Meals Reimbursement Fund, again, that's money set aside. We identified in the special funds, but actually it's fund reimbursed by the federal government at the end of the year. And others is just, it's just a total of all other funds within the special fund category. Just to mention, there's about 5 or 6 funds that have not been performing over the last several years. What we did in our budget bill here, we took the conservative approach on this. That's why in some of the departments, as we go through the bill, you're going to notice that their appropriation was actually reduced, because some of these departments or some of these funds fund these departments specifically. So if the funds are not performing, then of course we're going to have to reduce the fund or the appropriation to these departments, or subsidize them again with the general fund. So that's the challenge we've had regarding the special funds in terms of appropriation. But for the most part, there's about 5 or 6 of them that are like that. For the most part, the rest we kind of like held status quo and used those levels going into 2020. Okay. Next slide, please. Yeah, this slide just shows the allocation of the special fund revenues. Again, if you notice, the biggest portion or the largest amount of revenues that come in the special fund is in the tourist attraction fund, which represents 44.9% or 18% of all special funds. The next one that comes in is healthy future funds at 41.5 or 17%. The territorial education fund comes in at 38.4 or 16% of the pie. And we got others totaling 33.2 or 13% of that pie. Guam Highway Fund comes in at 23.9 or 10% of the pie. Of course, you got the pharmaceuticals at 19 million and 8%, and the solid waste at 19.1 million. Custom and quarantine is reflected there as 13.1 or 5%, and then the school lunch SEA Child Nutrition Reimbursement Fund at 12.5%. Okay, next slide. This is the allocation of the special funds by program category. The bulk of the special funds actually are reserved for general government operations at 26%. Public health comes in next at 58.5% or 24%. Public education comes in at 36.6% or 15% of the total. Protection of life and property at 32.2 or 13%. Then it's divvied up between the reserves, debt service, recreation, and community service, individual collective rights. So all the special funds that are listed within the budget in the bill either are funding departments that the fund was specifically designed for, or are cost sharing some of its funds to fund programs in other departments. Okay. And I believe that would conclude my presentation.
Now, Senator Castro, you had some questions you wanted to ask, sir? Speaker? Senator Nelson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With the, I'd like to make a motion to recess until tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. if there's no objection.
There's a motion to recess at 9, because I know earlier conversation was 10 and then 9 is fine, Senator Castro? That's correct, so that everybody can review.
To clarify, the motion is to recess with the intent that we review the presentation. We have some time to look over the budget bill. with this presentation to correlate it and compare and contrast what we see. And so this gives everyone an opportunity to take that time, and we will come back at 9 a.m. to recess. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Nelson. We are now at recess until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning.